Somewhere above you, thousands of satellites are circling the Earth at thousands of kilometers per hour. You don't see them, and supposedly they shape your life every single day. But how exactly do they do that? You've probably heard that satellites are important, but just how important are they really? And what do they actually do? Well, let's first start with the basics. Every time you check a map, track a package, get a weather forecast, or even make a bank transaction, chances are a satellite has something to do with it. They're like invisible guardians orbiting high above, and their goal is to make sure our systems stay on time, our planes know where to fly, and our world stays connected. But here's a catch that most people don't know about. Satellites aren't doing this alone. Most of the internet, including the messages you send, the videos you watch, and the calls you make, actually travel through undersea cables running across the ocean floor. That's where the heavy lifting happens. Satellites step in where cables can't reach, usually on planes, in remote deserts, or even sometimes out at sea and other areas where laying a cable would simply be impossible. I'd recommend you check out my video about fiber optics or undersea cables if you want to know more about those. Of course, not all satellites are equal. All of them have their own functions, and they're designed specifically to accomplish those tasks. There's a ton of them, but I'll give you a few examples. Communication satellites bounce signals across continents. GPS satellites tell your phone exactly where you are, using atomic clocks so precise they can measure time to within the billionth of a second. Yeah, I'm advertising my videos. Weather satellites scan the entire planet, tracking hurricanes before they hit and helping farmers plant their crops. And military satellites watch from above, tracking missile launches and providing intelligence in real time. And then there are the science missions. Telescope satellites like Hubble and James Webb, satellites mapping Earth's atmosphere or watching for dangerous solar storms. These aren't just orbiting gadgets. There are eyes and ears in space. That's why even if cables technically carry more raw data, satellites are still a backbone of modern civilization. They provide the global perspective, the part of our world no wire can reach. Without them, our communication system would be powerful, but incomplete. Of course, I couldn't talk about satellites without the challenges that they face. Satellites do face big challenges. Space is getting crowded with thousands of active satellites, and more importantly, countless fragments of junk. One collision could spark a chain reaction, making orbits unusable. And then there are the solar storms, which can knock out entire systems in an instant. For something so vital, satellites are surprisingly fragile, and yet their numbers are ever growing. Companies like Starlink and OneWeb are launching mega constellations, which are tens of thousands of small satellites blanketing the planet with internet. These constellations aim to bring connectivity to places where cables will never be able to reach, and maybe even compete with them directly. So while undersea cables are sort of like the arteries of the internet, satellites are more like the nervous system. So the next time you open up the map and check the weather, just think, that happened because of a flying machine traveling at extremely high speeds miles above you in space. And I personally think that's pretty neat. I personally never think that they'll be able to rival undersea cables because, as I've said before, wired will always be faster than wireless. But what do you think? Do you think satellites will ever have a chance to rival undersea cables? Do you think they'll ever be direct competition? Let me know in the comments. Hey guys, Tech Diver here, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't seen me already, I upload every Thursday. And just before I leave, a quick shout out to this guy who suggested the video. Anyways, that's all for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.